The gravel crunched under Jake Harlan's boots like bones snapping in the dead of night. Each step a thunderclap in the silence of the empty driveway. 2 years, 730 godforsaken days of sandstorms and IEDs, of brothers in arms lost to shadows in the desert. And all he wanted was the creak of the screen door, Mom's meatloaf, and his little brother Ethan's lopsided grin to stitch him back together. But the house loomed dark, windows like hollow eyes, and there on the porch, curled against the peeling paint with a backpack clutched like a shield, was Ethan, not grinning, but shivering, his face bruised purple under the porch light, whispering Jake's name like a prayer gone unanswered. Jake dropped his duffel, the thud echoing into the void, and crossed the yard in 3 strides, heart slamming against his ribs harder than any mortar round ever had. "Ethan, what the hell?" His voice cracked, rough from disuse, as he knelt, hands hovering like he feared his brother might shatter. Ethan's eyes, those wide blue pools Jake used to splash in backyard kiddie pools, now brimmed with a terror that clawed at Jake's gut. "They know," Ethan choked out, voice raw as if scraped by barbed wire. "Mom and Dad. They found out. About me. About everything." The world tilted, the stars above the Harlan farmhouse smearing into streaks of accusation. Jake had shipped out at 26, leaving behind a kid brother still dreaming of art school and endless summers. Not this, a ghost of him, lips split and trembling, the air thick with the metallic tang of betrayal. Jake pulled him close, the familiar scent of Ethan's cheap citrus shampoo mixing with something sharper, like rain-soaked fear. "Who did this?" he growled. But deep down, he already knew. The farm, this bit of Iowa soil clinging to old ways like burrs to wool, didn't bend easy. And love, the kind that didn't fit the Sunday sermon mold, it broke people here. As Jake held Ethan through the shutters, racking his frame, memories flooded in unbidden, the lazy afternoons fixing tractors, Ethan sketching wildflowers in the margins of Jake's old comic books, their laughter chasing fireflies until dawn. Jake had always been a shield, the big brother enlisting young to keep the family afloat after Dad's back gave out, sending checks home from bases halfway across the world. Letters from Ethan had been lifelines, tales of barista gigs in town, flirtations with boys who vanished like smoke, hints of a heart too big for the small world they'd inherited. Jake had chalked it up to growing pains, never digging deeper, too buried in his own foxhole to see the minds Ethan was dancing through alone. Now, with Ethan's breath hitching against his chest, Jake pieced it together from fractured whispers. It started 3 months back, Ethan said, voice muffled against Jake's fatigues. A co-worker at the diner, Riley, with his easy laugh and tattooed forearms, had become more than shifts and stolen glances. They'd kept it quiet, stealing kisses in the alley behind the grease trap, Ethan's sketches turning from fields to the curve of Riley's jaw under diner neon. But Dad, prowling the farm like a storm cloud, had followed Ethan one night, caught them in Riley's beat-up truck parked by the creek. Words flew like buckshot. Sinner. Abomination. Get out before you poison us all. Mom had wept but not fought, her silence a blade twisting deeper. By morning, Ethan's room was stripped, his clothes dumped in trash bags on the porch, the door locked against the boy who'd once hung her curtains. Jake's fists clenched, knuckles whitening against Ethan's back. They threw you out? Like garbage. The rage boiled low, A familiar heat from patrols gone wrong. But this was home, supposed to be sacred. Ethan nodded, pulling back just enough to show the fresh welt blooming under his eye. Dad's ring leaving its mark like a brand. I tried calling you, but signals suck out there. Figured you'd hate me too. The words landed like shrapnel, shredding Jake's illusions. Hate him? Ethan was the light Jake had chased through every blackout. The reason he'd survived that ambush in Kandahar, whispering his brother's name to the stars. Dawn crept in slow, painting the sky bruised purple as Jake hauled Ethan to the truck, his old Ford rumbling to life like an old friend. No way was he dragging his brother back inside that tomb of judgment. Not yet. Not until he'd carved a path through the wreckage. They drove in silence to the only motel in Willow Creek, a sagging neon oasis off Route 20, the vacancy sign flickering like a heartbeat. Jake paid cash for 2 nights, the clerk's pitying glance sliding off them like oil. Inside the room, threadbare quilts and the hum of a faulty AC. Ethan finally broke, sobs tearing free as he curled on the bed. Jake sat beside him, one hand steady on his shoulder, the other tracing the bruises like mapping enemy lines. "You're not poison," he murmured, voice thick. "You're my blood. And blood don't break that easy." But easy was a lie they both knew. By noon, Jake's phone buzzed Mom, her voice a ghost on the line. "Come home, Jacob. We need to talk. You're brothers." Confused. The word slithered like venom, and Jake bit back the urge to hurl the phone through the window. "He's safe," he said flatly. "With me." And if Dad laid a hand on him, she cut him off with a sob, please tumbling out about family, about saving Ethan's soul before it dragged them all under. Jake hung up, chest heaving, the soldiers' discipline cracking under civilian fury. How had it come to this? 2 boys raised on the same dirt, same Bible stories twisted into weapons, now divided by a truth as old as time. Ethan stirred, eyes red-rimmed, but clearer. "Riley. He doesn't know. I ghosted him after. Afraid he'd get dragged into." Jake nodded, mind racing. Riley. The name sparked a vague memory from Ethan's letters. The barista with dreams of opening a coffee shop in Des Moines, ink on his skin telling stories Ethan had once envied. "Call him," Jake said, surprising himself. "You don't hide from this." "Not anymore." Ethan hesitated, fingers hovering over his cracked phone screen. Then dialed. The line crackled. Riley's voice warmed gravel. "Ethan? God, I've been losing my mind." Relief flooded Ethan's face, a tentative smile breaking through, and Jake slipped out to the vending machine, giving them space, the clunk of sodas masking the ache in his throat. Outside, the Iowa wind whipped sharp, carrying scents of corn stalks and regret. Jake leaned against the motel wall, staring at the horizon where sky met endless fields. 2 years away, and home had warped into a stranger, his parents. Once anchors, now anchors dragging them down. He'd seen men die for less than love. Brothers bleed out, clutching photos of lovers back home. What right did anyone have to deny Ethan that? The door creaked, Ethan emerging with flushed cheeks, Riley's truck already idling in the lot. "He's coming to get me," Ethan said, voice laced with wonder and fear. "Says his couch is mine as long as I need." Jake pulled him into a hug, fierce and fleeting. "Go. But this ain't over. I'll fix it." As Ethan's taillights faded into the dust, Jake turned back to the house, resolve hardening like Kevlar. The driveway was empty still, but voices rose from inside. Dad's bellow, Mom's murmur. He pushed through the door. The familiar squeak, now a war cry. Dad spun from the kitchen table, face thunderous, flannel shirt stained with coffee. Boy, you best explain why your brother's shacked up with that queer from town. Jake's vision tunneled, the room shrinking to just his father's glare. Explain? You threw him out. Pa. Beat him like he was the enemy. He's my brother, your son, and you treated him worse than Taliban scum. The air crackled. Dad's chair scraping back, veins bulging in his neck. Bible says it's an abomination. I won't have in my house. Tainting. Jake stepped forward, chest to chest, the soldier's stance unyielding. Your house, built on my checks, my sweat while I dodged bullets so you could sit here preaching hate. Mom hovered in the doorway, hands wringing her apron, eyes pleading. Jacob, please. We're family. Family. The word hung heavy, a lifeline or a noose. Jake's voice dropped, laced with the desert's dust. Yeah. And family's supposed to fight for each other, not against. The standoff stretched, minutes bleeding into hours, accusations flying like spent casings. Dad railed about tradition, the farm's legacy, how Ethan's choices would curse the land. Mom wept of lost innocence, clutching faded photos of baptisms and birthdays. Jake parried with truths unearthed from his own silence, the letters he'd skimmed, the hints ignored, his failure to shield Ethan from the storm brewing. By nightfall, exhaustion claimed them. Dad storming to the barn, Mom retreating to her room. Jake claimed Ethan's old bed, the mattress sagging under ghosts, staring at the ceiling cracks like fault lines in his soul. Morning brought Riley, pulling up with Ethan in tow, 2 mugs of diner coffee steaming on the dash. They sat on the porch steps, the 4 of them awkward as fresh recruits, the air thick with unspoken truces. Riley extended a hand, callous from espresso machines and sketch pads, his dark eyes steady. Appreciate you looking out for him, Jake. Means the world. Jake clasped it, feeling the quiet strength, the kind that had kept Ethan afloat when family failed. Just doing what brothers do. Over weak coffee and 4 small talk, cracks appeared in the walls. Ethan spoke first, voice steady despite the tremor. I love him. Dad. Not a phase. Not confusion. Riley sees me, the real me, and doesn't flinch. Dad shifted, boots scuffing the wood, gaze fixed on the horizon. Mom reached for Ethan's hand. Tentative, then firm. We panicked. Feared for your soul. Baby, Riley chimed in. Soft but sure, ain't about souls. It's about hearts. And mine's all in. Jake watched, heart pounding a rhythm of hope and dread. This was the precipice, jump or fall. Dad cleared his throat. Words gruff, ain't easy. This life. But blood's thicker. It wasn't absolution, but it was a start, a hand extended across the chasm. They lingered till dusk, stories weaving tentative bridges, Riley's tales of city dreams, Ethan's sketches pulled from his bag. Jake's were scars laid bare like offerings. Weeks blurred into a fragile rhythm. Jake mustered out formally, trading desert for dirt, helping on the farm while scouting jobs in Des Moines. Ethan and Riley shacked up in a cramped apartment above the diner. Walls papered with art and Polaroids. Love blooming fierce against the world's grind. Jake crashed often, bearing groceries and grudging apologies from home. Dad thawed slow, grunts turning to questions about Riley's tattoo meanings. Mom baking pies with rainbow sprinkles hidden in the crust. But peace was a mirage, shattered one crisp October eve when shadows lengthened over the fields. Jake found Dad in the barn, whiskey bottle half empty, eyes red. "Some in town," he muttered. "Kissing." Like it was nothing, the old man's voice cracked. Not with anger, but ache, a father's fear of a world devouring his boy. Jake sat beside him, the hayloft scent stirring boyhood ghosts. "It ain't nothing, Pa. It's everything." "Ethan's happy. First time I seen it since I left." Dad's hand trembled on the bottle. "What if they hurt him? World ain't kind to folks like that." Jake laid a hand on his shoulder, the gesture foreign yet fitting. "Then we fight. Like I did over there." For him, Dawn found them side by side, mending fences literal and not. The first stitches in a mending heart. Thanksgiving loomed like a thunderhead. The Harlan table set for war or wonder. Jake orchestrated it careful. Neutral ground at Riley's diner after hours. Checkered cloths and candlelight softening the edges. Ethan arrived nervous, hand in Riley's, his button down crisp but eyes darting like a deer's. Jake clapped his back, whispering, "Breathe, kid. We've got this." Mom fluttered with pies. Dad hung back by the door, flannel traded for a tie that choked him red. Seating was a minefield, Dad opposite Riley, Jake flanking Ethan like a sentinel. Grace faltered, Mom's words stumbling over blessings that felt barbed. Then Riley broke bread, passing it with a smile that disarmed. "Ma'am, this turkey smells like heaven. My folks never cooked like this." Mom blushed, launching into recipes, the table easing into chatter. Ethan sketched idly on a napkin, wild turkeys amid cornucopias, his laughter bubbling free when Riley teased his turkey giblet aversion. Dad watched, fork paused midair, the weight of years etching deeper lines. Midway through, he cleared his throat, all eyes snapping to him. "Riley," he said, voice gravel over glass. "Ethan says you're fixing to open a shop. Coffee and art." Riley nodded, unfazed. "Yeah, sir. Place where folks can grab a brew and feel seen. You know, no judgments." Dad grunted. Then, astonishing, pulled a worn ledger from his pocket. "Farm's got surplus beans from the co-op. Might help stock it." The table stilled, then exhaled, Ethan's eyes glistening as he gripped Riley's knee under the cloth. Jake's chest swelled, a tide of gratitude crashing silent. This was redemption's whisper, not roar, small yields from hardened soil. As plates cleared, stories spilled, Jake's desert close calls, Riley's city scrapes, Ethan's dreams of galleries in Chicago. Dad even chuckled at a tale of Ethan's botched latte art flooding the diner floor. By pie, hands linked across divides. Mom's tears joyful now, toasting to new harvests. Winter gripped Willow Creek in iron fists, snow blanketing sins and secrets alike. Jake bunked at the farm, nights spent poring over VA benefits and job listings, days wrestling frost from fields. Ethan thrived in stolen moments, commuting with Riley to shifts, Their apartment a cocoon of vinyl records and whispered promises. Jake visited often, bearing farm-fresh eggs and eavesdropping on their easy intimacies. Riley's fingers tracing Ethan's spine, laughter chasing away the chill. But fractures lingered, spiderwebbing under the mend. One blizzard night, Jake's phone shattered the quiet. Ethan. Voice panicked over howling wind. It's Dad. He drove out here. Said he needed to see for himself. Jake bolted, truck slicing through whiteout, arriving to find Dad's pickup idling outside the apartment, headlights carving ghosts in the snow. Inside, voices rose, Dad's rumble, Ethan's plea, Riley's steady calm. Jake burst in, snow shedding like armor. Dad stood rigid, fist balled, face a mask of torment. Can't let you live like this. Boy, it's killing me. Ethan stepped forward, chin lifted, Riley at his side like a shadow made flesh. Then let me live. Dad, this is me, happy, whole. You taught us to stand tall. Now stand with me. The room held breath. Storm raging outside, mirroring the one within. Dad's shoulder sagged, the fight leaching out like blood from a wound. He looked at Jake, eyes pleading for translation. Is this the way? Jake nodded, throat tight. Yeah, Pa. It's love. Messy, real, the kind worth fighting for. Silence stretched. Then Dad crossed the room, enveloping Ethan in a bear hug. The first in years, Riley included in the awkward circle. Forgive an old fool, he mumbled into Ethan's hair. They talked till dawn. Whiskey swapped for cocoa, barriers crumbling in the hearth's glow. Spring unfurled tentative, buds piercing frost like hope through despair. Riley's shop took shape, a leased space in Des Moines. Walls splashed with Ethan's murals. Beans roasting rich. Jake pitched in, hauling counters and hanging signs, his military precision meshing with Riley's vision. Dad even showed, tools in hand, grumbling but grinning at the progress. Mom fussed over opening day decor, rainbow ribbons hidden in cornhusk wreaths. The launch buzzed electric, locals mingling with city folk, coffee flowing like absolution. Ethan manned the espresso bar, apron-tied Johnny, Riley's hand brushing his in passing caresses. Jake hovered near the door, scanning faces for dissent, but found only curiosity, nods of approval. Dad raised a mug in toast, voice carrying to roots and wings. Proud of you, son. Ethan's beam lit the room, Jake's heart mending with it. Yet drama shadowed idle. A letter arrived midsummer. Crisp envelope from Ethan's old college, scholarship revoked. Whispers of moral clauses from donors sniffing scandal. Ethan crumpled it, fury flashing. They can't bury me twice. Riley pulled him close. But Jake saw the fracture, the fear of doors slamming anew. We'll fight, Jake vowed, channeling soldiers' fire. He rallied calls, petitions drafted on diner napkins. Dad even penning a letter to the dean. My boy's character ain't defined by whispers. The battle dragged. Hearings in stuffy offices. Lawyers pro bono from Riley's network. Jake testified, voice steady. I served for freedom, this country's promise. Deny my brother that. You deny us all. Ethan spoke last. Sketches in hand, portraits of love's quiet revolutions. Riley's face central. The panel wavered, then yielded, scholarship reinstated, with apologies veiled as policy reviews. Fall-painted leaves fire gold, mirroring the warmth, reclaiming the Harlans. Jake found his footing too, a security gig at the VA clinic, counseling vets with scars mirroring his. Evenings, he joined Ethan and Riley for bonfires by the creek, stories circling like sparks. Dad softened fully, inviting Riley for tractor rides, Mom knitting scarves and subtle stripes. One crisp eve, as stars pricked the velvet sky, Ethan pulled Jake aside, Riley waiting with a blanket. "Couldn't have done this without you," Ethan said, hugging fierce. "My hero." Jake ruffled his curls, throat bobbing. "Nah, you're the brave one." They watched fireflies dance, echoes of boyhood, now laced with men's wisdom. But courage's cost lingered, etched in quiet moments. Jake woke nights drenched, dreams blending desert blasts with Ethan's bruises, guilt a ghost refusing quarter. He'd failed once, blind to signals, now hypervigilant, scanning every sidelong glance at the diner, every hushed murmur in church pews. Riley noticed first, cornering him post-shift over cooling lattes. "You're carrying it all, man. Let us share the load." Jake deflected with a shrug, but the words burrowed, softening calluses. Ethan's art bloomed bolder, canvases shipped to Chicago galleries, themes of fractured families mending under queer prisms. A piece sold, his first big break, depicting three figures by a barn: soldier, artist, farmer, hands linked against storm clouds. The check funded wedding whispers, Riley proposing on bended knee amid coffee grounds, ring a simple band etched with wildflowers. Ethan said yes through tears, calling Jake first, "Be my best man." The Harlan farm transformed that spring, backyard strung with lights, wildflowers Ethan's touch. Invites went tentative, extended family wary, but Mom's pleas won half attendance. Dad built an arch from barnwood, carving initials subtle, E&R. Rehearsal dinner hummed awkward charm. Aunts gossiping, uncles toasting stiffly. Jake stood sentinel, quelling flares with soldiers' calm. Ceremony dawned golden, creekside under the arch. Riley in linen shirt sleeves rolled, tattoos blooming like vows. Ethan emerged path-strewn with petals, simple suit hugging his frame, eyes locked on Riley's like lifelines. Vows poured raw, Riley's promise to brew strength in storms, Ethan's oath to paint their world vivid. Jake's toast cracked voices, family ain't blood alone, it's choice. Fight. Forgiveness. To Ethan and Riley, anchors in my storm, glasses clinked, tears flowed free. Dad's arm around Mom, pride etching new lines. Honeymoon stolen in the Ozarks, cabins and hikes. Jake house sitting their loft, tending plants like wards. Solitude unearthed restlessness, love's echo hollow without his own. Dates flickered, a nurse from the clinic, laughs easy but sparks absent. Then Connor, a vet counselor with green eyes and wry scars, crossed his path at group therapy. Shared silences deepened to coffees, walks where words wove tentative. Back home, newlyweds glowed, Ethan sketching wedding portraits, Riley shop expanding with pop-up art nights. But shadows crept, town whispers sharpening. A cross burned on the diner's lawn. Anonymous bile in Ethan's gallery submissions. Jake rallied, Dad patrolling nights with shotgun-loaded blanks. Mom baking welcome pies for skeptics. Riley faced worst. Slashed tires post-shift. Note scrawled, "Go back to the city." Freak. Ethan's rage ignited. Confronting the suspected ringleader, a deacon with beer gut piety, at town hall. "Hide your hate," he spat, voice carrying. "But know this, love outlasts your fire." Cheers rippled unexpected. Allies emerging from quiet corners. Widow Jenkins with her son's old rainbow pin. The librarian lending banned books. Jake swelled, seeing ripples from their stand. Summer solstice brought catharsis. Bonfire vigil organized by Ethan. Flames fed with hate notes. Stories shared circle-bound. Dad spoke halting. "Lost my way once." Won again. Riley led a toast to resilience. Ethan's hand in his. Jake beside Connor. Fingers brushing accidental on purpose. Healing hummed collective. Scars stories not shackles. Autumn harvested bounty. He and our brews franchising tentative. Ethan's exhibit touring coasts. Jake and Connor deepened. Weekends kayaking rivers. Talks tracing traumas to tenderness. First kiss came slow. Under harvest moon. Jake's walls crumbling like Jericho. Thanksgiving redux healed deeper. Table full with extended kin thawed. Toast to growth. Dad carved turkey steady. Eyes on Ethan and Riley entwined casual. Mom's grace inclusive. Jake caught Connor's gaze across candles. Warmth pooling unfamiliar yet right. Winter whispered changes. Jake proposing cabin shares with Connor. Roots tentative. Ethan's pregnancy news, no. Wait. Dreams of adoption surfaced. Paperwork, mountains scaled together. Dad's nursery build. Crib from oak barn beams. Symbolized full circle. But climax brewed unseen. A storm named Harlan Pride. Cousin Lyle. Ill-fueled at family reunion. Hurled slurs at Riley over potato salad. Tainting the name. Fist flew. Jake tackling. Dad hauling back. Ethan shielding Riley fierce. Chaos quelled by sirens. Bruises traded. But rift yawned. Aftermath simmered. While exiled. Family splintered. Jake mediated nights. Connor's counsel steady. Boundaries. Not bridges burned. Ethan penned letter public. Read it next gathering. Hates the stranger here. Loves our legacy. Lyle arrive humbled. Apology raw. Hug from Riley's ceiling. Spring bloomed reconciliation. While volunteering shop shifts. Learning lattes and lessons. Jake's commitment deepened. Ring exchanged lakeside. Connor's yes a vow to shared scars. Summer solstice encore. Circle wider. Flames brighter. Ethan's art unveiled. Mural of kin linked. Flames forging, not destroying. Dad's speech choked. Proudest man alive. Yet life's script twisted unforeseen. Autumn winds carrying omens. Connor's ex surfaced. Custody battle for their daughter, pulling him cross-state. Jake adrift in sudden void. Nights blurred solitary. Farm chores mechanical. Heart echoing empty. Ethan noticed, dragging him to therapy circles. Riley brewing fortitude in mugs. Lean on us, Ethan urged. Sketchpad thrust. Draw your ache. Jake's lines faltered crude. But catharsis seeped. Strokes softening to horizons hoped. Meanwhile, ENR brews hit snag. Corporate scouts sniffing buyout. Threatening Ethan's murals for bland chains. Boardroom battles ensued. Jake strategizing logistics. Dad crunching numbers gruff. Rally cry. Community petition. 500 signatures in days. Locals loyal to Soul over stock. Victory tasted black brew. Expansion organic. Art intact. Connor returned fractured. Gash over eye from ex's rage. Daughter Mia, wide-eyed in tow. Jake enveloped them. Farmhouse haven. Mia's giggles thawing frost. Nights mended slow. Connor's whispers. Chose you us. Jake's proposal redux. Mia, scattering petals. Yes, etched eternal. Winter grip tender now. Holidays hearth warm. Mia's first farm visit. Pony rides with Uncle Ethan. Cookie dough with Grandma. Grandpa's tale spun yarn soft. Riley's lullabies gay and gentle. Weaving family tapestry queer-threaded. But peril prowled insidious. A diagnosis dropped New Year's. Dad's prostate shadow. Scan stark. Harlem men rallied. Jake driving appointments. Ethan distracting with sketches of heroic farmers. Riley stocking care kits infuse calm. Mom's vigil fierce. Prayers evolved inclusive. Treatment trail blazed brutal, chemo chills. Hair tufts on pillows, but spirits buoyed by Mia's drawings. Taped gallery walls. Spring tested metal. Dad waning. Voice whisper. Bedside vigils cycled. Stories relived, boyhood pranks. Enlistment pride. Ethan's coming out crucible. Regret nothing, Dad rasped. Hand in Riley's. You mended me. Passing came quiet. Farm dawn chorus mocking final breath. Graveside. Under oak sentinel. Eulogies wove lost to legacy. Jake's salute crisp. Ethan's poem soaring. Riley's toast grounded. Morning mantled heavy, but seeds sown sprouted. Memorial fund launched. Scholarships for out youth. ENR namesake. Mia planted sapling by grave. Roots mirroring resolve. Summer healed, hues vibrant. Jake and Connor adopting Mia formal. Papers signed courthouse steps. Ethan curated Dad's exhibit. Tools turned art. Stories etched brass. Riley expanded menu. Harla Harvest blend. Proceeds to fund. Autumn unveiled miracle. Ethan's canvas accepted MoMA. Flight to New York dizzying. Jake tagged chaperone. City lights awing farm boy eyes. Gala glittered. Ethan's speech heartfelt. From thrown out to standing tall. Loves the brush. Accolades reigned. But home pull stronger. Return to creek bonfires. Mia's queries on stars. Winter whispered futures. Jake training security vets. Connor counseling deepened. Ethan's second exhibit local. Themes paternal bonds queer framed. Riley's book brewing. Recipes lace narratives. Climax crested unexpected. You'll blizzard trapped kin farmhouse. Power flicker. Tales tumbling camelot. Mia's wonders spark confessions. Jake's desert doubts. Connor's custody wars. Ethan's eviction eve terror. Laughter laced tears. Bonds reforged fire forged. Dawn broke benevolent. Plows clearing paths. Hearts unclogged. Spring equinox. Farm fair swelled crowds. ENR booth hub. Mia hawking mini mugs. Jake watched Ethan and Riley dance slow amid hay bales. Connor's arm warm waist. Mia giggling twirls. Summer solstice pinnacle. Annual vigil evolved festival. Art. Brews. Bands belting anthems acceptance. Ethan's keynote thundered. From ashes, we rise together. Fireworks burst. Kin silhouetted. Jake's family whole. Horizons boundless. Yet romance's arc bent personal. Jake and Connor's vow renewal. Intimate under harvest moon. Mia, ring bearer beaming. Words renewed raw. Through wars within. I choose you. Dance followed. Slow sway to crickets. Love's rhythm eternal. Autumn harvested, joys manifold. Ethan's book deal. Illustrations self-penned. Riley's chainlet sprout. Outpost queer welcoming. Mia's school play. Shepherd star. Uncle's cheering loudest. Winter cradled content. Snow soft shroud. New Year's toast circled. To losses honored. Love's limitless. Jake's gaze swept. Ethan sketching Mia's portrait. Riley pouring cheers. Connor's hand, laced fingers. Heart full. Soldiers guard down. Home no longer hollow. Life's tapestry wove on. Threads tangled triumphant. From 730 days exile, Jake returned not conqueror, but guardian, witness to love's quiet revolution. Brother to a man unbowed. Family redefined fierce. In the hush of renewal, Jake traced patterns in frost-laced windows. Mia's breath fogging giggles beside. 2 years post-return. Scars faded to stories. But vigilance lingered soft, a father's watch. Brother's vow. Ethan and Riley announced quietly one eve. Over farm-fresh stew, fostering first. Then adoption trail for a sibling set. Jake's whoop echoed barns. Dad's old rocker creaking approval phantom. Prep whirlwise, nursery expansions. Home studies navigated Connor's expertise. Mia regaled baby brother's tales. Ethan sketching nurseries fantastical. Riley's Brews-themed Little Roots, sales funding toy drives. Arrival day dawned electric, twins Alex and Jordan. Wide-eyed from group home, clutching bears threadbare. Farm embrace tentative, pony sniffs. Egg hunts. Ethan's patience palate-mixing moods. Jake barbecued welcomes. Connor mediated squabble sage. Mia mothered instant. Braids bestowed solemn. Challenges crested waves. Nightmares shrieking nights. Trust trails thorny. Ethan journaled verses visceral. Riley's routines anchors. Morning milks. Bedtime ballads. Jake shared soldier sleeps. Soothing shadows shared. Community cocooned. Widow Jenkins babysits. Librarian story hours. Summer splashed milestones. First farm fair floats. Twins toddling hay mazes. Laughter lilting. Ethan's mural expanded. Family fractal. Branches budding infinite. Riley's outlets outgrew. Barista brigades, train tolerance tales. Autumn's equinox brought crossroads. Jake offered VA directorship. Travel tempting. Connor weighed. Mia's plea rooted stay. Daddy. Adventures here. Choice crystallized clear. Home's horizon vastest. Winter wove wonders. Holidays hullabaloo heightened. Twin terrors tinsel tangling. Ethan's carols crooned countertenor. Riley's feast fuse farm queer. Rainbow rutabaga. Love's layers. Spring surged serendipity. Gallery gala Des Moines. Ethan's solo soaring. Jake escorted proud. Suit swap fatigues. Toasts tipping to kin kaleidoscope. Sales surged. Scholarships seeded anew. Climax coalesced crisis veiled. Jordan's fever fierce. Hospital haze haunting. Vigil veered verses. Ethan's hand Jordan's. Riley recounting resilience rhymes. Jake's tales triumph over terror. Connor's calm clinical. Dawn discharged delight. Family fortified. Summer solstice sanctified swells. Festival finale. Twins twirling stages. Mia emceeing earnest. Ethan's oration oracled, love's legacy, from outcast to outshining. Pyre's purified pasts, futures flared. Yet romance ripened rarer. Jake and Connor's anniversary escape. Ozark's echoing proposals past. Cabin confessions cascaded, dreams deferred, desires dormant. More, Connor queried, eyes emerald earnest. Jake's yes yielded plans, clinic expansion, couples counseling queer-coded. Autumn alchemized abundance, twins adoption affirmed, court's crowning kin. Party porch pulsing, dad's shade smiling spectral. Ethan's exhibit epilogue, roots reclaimed, portraits pulsing pulse. Winter whispered wisdoms. New Year's nexus, circles swelled siblings. Story spiraling. Jake's journal jotted joy, soldiers surrender to serenity. Life's ledger balanced benevolent. ENR empires empathetic. Ethan's easel ever-evolving. Riley's roasts revolutionary. Mia mintered mini-muses. Twins tracing trails trodden. In quiet quadrants, Jake reflected, 730 days distilled decades depth. Brothers' bravery beacon. From porch shattered homecoming to hearth holistic. Love labored victorious, gay grace gracing all. One eve, creekside, stars stitching sky. Ethan leaned Jake's shoulder. Worth the war? Jake's arm tightened. Gaze galaxies, every bullet. Brother. Everyone. And so, horizons held. Hands held.
It's gonna be okay
hearts
now.
hail. Legacy luminous.
We're
Love's
together
light
now.
undimmed.
That's all that matters.